I am so glad you can't smell this right now because I just opened a can of sardines and it's stinky. I also have a bag of frozen banana peel and I have a carton of eggshell. So what am I doing today? I'm planting tomatoes, and I have heard over the last few years people putting an egg in the hole, people putting banana peel in the hole, and people putting like fish heads or entire fish in the hole. I'm gonna do all three. I've been saving banana peels, I've been saving eggshells, and I have a ton of sardines. So I'm just gonna put one of the sardine fillets in. I don't know if that'll work the same, but this is the idea, to get a ton of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, just everything you need in that hole to feed the tomato. And this, this would go normally in the compost. The eggshells would either go to the chicken or the compost. The sardines I just happen to have, so I didn't actually buy anything for this project. My tomatoes are incredibly tiny. They're really, really tiny. I'm gonna be burying them pretty deep. We haven't had a lot of rain, so I feel safe doing that. We get a lot of septoria leaf here. Every year it comes, so I have to be really careful if we're gonna have a lot of rain, but we should be okay. They're just not growing, and so I thought if I could get them in the ground, maybe they stand a better chance at growing. So I'm gonna do a little experiment. The ones I have right now are indigo kumquat, and I'm just gonna throw them in the hole with these three things. And this entire row of tomatoes, whatever I end up planting in this row, will have all three elements in them. And I will do another bed where I do not put the three elements in, and then I'll be able to do a trial and just see if it works. Because if there's no change, if it doesn't do anything, then why would we go to that trouble? But I have a feeling it's gonna produce a really, really good tomato. Now you'd say, well, if you think that, why would you do a trial and not put the stuff in the hole for the other ones? Because I think it's important to know. I think it's important to see, to know for our soil, because everybody's soil is different, everybody's weather is different, so it could do nothing. So let's just find out. So there is very little room in this walkway. There's like this much space, so I'm only gonna do one of these for the video because it's gonna be incredibly hard for me to navigate all this. But the first thing I'm gonna do, so you can see I have green onions planted here. These have been here or not green onions, just regular onions. Those have been here for a while, and my hope is to interplant as many things as I can in between everything this year. So I started the onions already. So I'm digging a pretty substantially deep hole. Don't know how deep it's gonna be, but because I'm adding all these extra things. So I'm just gonna take a handful of eggshells and I'm gonna crush them into the hole. I'm gonna take one peel. I'm just gonna kind of shove that in. And then I brought out a fork so I could put a little jet juice in. And then I'm just gonna get this sardine in here. Good thing our garden is fenced, because I think this is gonna attract some pretty good animals. And then I'm just gonna smush that in, put a tiny bit of dirt on it, and then get my tomato in. So this is indigo kumquat. You can go back and I have a video on all the tomatoes I'm planting. Yeah, so that's not gonna be quite deep enough. Let's see. Make some space again in all of that. There we go. Okay, so nice deep. I'm gonna take off a couple of these bottom leaves here. Nice and deep, because anything on the stem that's buried, all of these little fuzzies, they turn into roots. So you wanna go deep. So these are just the false leaves here. And then I'm just gonna bury them about this deep. And that's it. That's my tomato project. And then normally you would do 18 inches from tomato to tomato. Because I'm gonna go in a diagonal on this one, I'm gonna go over here. So my next one will be about here, which probably is about 18 inches actually. But I could go a little less if I wanted to, because I'm doing it diagonally. I could go about a foot. So maybe about here is where the next one will go. And then this one will grow up this side of the fence, the trellis. This one will grow up this side of the trellis. And as I prune, everything should have enough space and air to breathe. I've seen most people do it all on one side, and some of them I'm gonna do that way, but I've been doing this and it works really nicely. And that's it. I'll give them a really good drink and then we'll see how the experiment goes. So I took out almost all the blueberry plants. They just were dead. I wrote to the company and they were awesome, and they said that they will give me a credit and send out new plants that I can order them in the fall, or order them to be sent in the fall. So that is just incredible. It means that I gained a whole lot of growing space, like a lot of growing space. So the blueberry hill will be delayed. And so I decided, since I have so many extra tomatoes, and tomatoes are okay with acidic soil, and because this soil was conditioned for the blueberries and the strawberries, that I'm gonna go ahead and put a couple of the plants over here, see how they do. I am gonna be growing some beans in between to grow up along the fence, so we'll have some beans and some tomatoes. The strawberries are slow, but they're starting to flower. They're looking good. Let me show you those. I think they're looking really nice. The good thing about this area is it's already mulched, so I still have to put straw on all of the other tomato beds, but this one will be good to go. It really helps with septoria leaf for us. And I have to try to find like smaller straw that's already like, you know, kind of cut and chopped, because some of them have like carrots or onions or other things planted in there. So I'm just gonna kind of just gently tuck the straw. It's the same straw I use actually for my chicken coop, the nesting boxes. When I pull the weeds, I just go like this and I just toss them right back in. I kind of mix them up so they can add nutrition back. Just do that. Especially on a hot day, they'll just kind of wilt right down into it. All right, so I am just gonna keep going. I don't have any more banana peels, but I have my my sardines and my eggshells, so I'm just gonna keep going, get a few tomato plants planted, see if I can make this bed a real act of mimicking nature of permaculture. I've got a few ideas, but that means we'll be adding some flowers too. I've been trying to think of this garden space as a room. It's an extension of my home. It's where I spend a whole lot of time. And so planting some flowers in here and creating like polycultures isn't just for the bees and the planet, it's also for my deep need for beauty. So I have been like going back and forth. I have 2 trays of these hollyhocks and I've been like, where am I gonna put them? Where am I gonna put them? And then I realized, well, why wouldn't I just put them in my beautiful garden room? So that's what I'm gonna plant. And then it's becoming a tradition to plant zinnias. Here's a couple that were winter sown. I have some that I started inside as well. The big chunk of grass in this one. I have so many zinnias, so I'm thinking I'll put one on either end of I'm sitting in front of the pea trellis right now. So I think I'm gonna do one on either side. I have pinched this one already, so this is a really good one to get in there. I think I even pinched this one, even though it's really tiny. And pinching just means like I could pinch this again right here, and I could actually put this in water and root it for a second plant. But it helps because zinnias get really tall and really heavy. And when you pinch them, they do a much better job surviving without needing any supports or falling over if you have a lot of wind. We have a lot of wind, so that's my hope, is that if I can pinch those down, then you get these little sides and it becomes stronger than just being one long big stem. You have all these beautiful side shoots coming out. So I'm gonna do the zinnias, I'm gonna do the hollyhocks. Down the center of the garden, which you'll see when I do the garden tour, which I'm so close to being ready to do, I have just planted flowers on the end of each row, so that come like deep summer, when you walk through the garden, when you walk down this center walkway, you will just be surrounded by flowers and hopefully the buzzing of bees in it. It'll be beautiful, so I'm excited for that. So treating the garden like a room, I know a lot of people who are into high production, which I am as well, are very kind of utilitarian about it, and it's just like, you know, cabbage row, broccoli row, corn row, potato row, and that's awesome, and it does the job. And it's just, for me, like, this is, like I said, this is where I spend so much of my time. It's not just plant the rows and then leave them. I have a chair out here, I drink coffee out here, I'm gonna sit out here when the peas are, you know, giving fruit and just be munching away, and it just becomes more beautiful and more special as each day ticks off closer and closer to summer. This is what things typically look like when they come out of the winter sowing jugs. Really nice roots, but it's definitely time to get this out of here because you don't want them to get root bound. So then I just break it apart. Try to get as many roots as you can. This little guy wants to come too. So you never plant in wood chips, but you can put the wood chips, kind of tuck them around like I'm doing here, just like that. So the wood chips are on top, the plant is in soil. And then I've got this little guy. This is definitely a baby. And then that was the grass. I don't know what this is. It looks like something, but I don't know what it is. And then that's the, so much sun. That's the other zinnia that I'll probably put on the other end down there. And then here's a sweet little hollyhock that I just tucked in. And I'll probably put maybe 3 or 4 of them going down this row. And then I'll interplant with some other things. I had tried to plant parsnips. It didn't work. I didn't think it was gonna work because at that time I wasn't able to get a hose down here. So I just don't think they were able to germinate. So it's really just filled up with weeds right now. There's 2 things of lettuce down there. But the peas are doing good. And, you know, my hope was that it would fill this whole arch trellis, but we shall see. Grow, little peas, grow. So not quite sure what else I'll put in here. So I'll have the hollyhocks. I've got some lettuce going. The zinnias on either end. And, you know what, I do have some starts of beets and turnips, so maybe I will just pop those in here. And I definitely need to get some more soil. It definitely has sunk down and it's very compacted. So maybe actually root vegetables would help quite a bit to kind of move this around. I also could just throw some potatoes in. That might not be a bad idea to work this little patch of soil that really needs working. So maybe I'll throw just a potato or 2 down. Yeah, that might not be yeah, we just figured that out. Good job. Good work. Well, it has been a lot slower than I anticipated to get everything planted. I think maybe I just don't have as much energy this year. Or maybe I forgot how long things take. I don't know, but it's coming. So most of the tomatoes are planted. There are a lot of extra tomatoes, so I either need to give them away or find spots for them or both. I don't think I need that many tomatoes. So hopefully they can find good homes, and the peppers seem to be at a place where I can start to pop them in the ground. Eggplant is in, so it's just like slowly every day a few things happen, getting us closer to this beautiful garden. And maybe tomorrow I will get out there and do a garden tour if the wind finally decides to give us a little break. Okay, so deep sigh. Feels good. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you.